Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Unfortunately, I noticed that a few of my videos that I did yesterday, the audio was all screwed up, particularly the ones on context, Props.Children, and on React hooks. So that was very disappointing. So in this video, we're going to go over those concepts, and we're going to use the newer version of our project where we kind of transferred everything over to create React app in the last video. So the first concept I want to talk about is context. Now context, and all three of these have to do with being able to move information from sort of parent components to children components, or except for hooks. We'll come back to the hooks. So let's go to here, and again, one of the benefits of context is first you have to understand what the problem is that it's solving. One of the problems you had early days in React is the way you would have to pass down information to the next layer of components. So you have a component, and inside that component it invokes another component. And the parent component has data that the children needs, or maybe a children of the children needs. So what it would have to do, it would pass the information down as props to its children component, and then that component would then pass that information down again as props to its children component. Now imagine that you have a component that's inside of a component, that's inside of a component, that's inside of a component, that's inside of a component. That would be torture, because you'd have to basically keep passing it down as props, and then if you make any change, you have to make that change again to all 8 components. So context kind of eliminates this problem. So let's go take a look at our app.js here. Okay, so basically the exercise that I did when I recorded the video that had bad audio was we decided we wanted to take this piece of information named Alex, and we wanted to pass it down to the contact page. Okay, which was in here components. Okay, but all that code's not there right now because we ended up doing something else with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo that again. And basically the first step is we have to actually create a context. So a context object is essentially going to be an object that's going to kind of hold information, and it can hold information, and then we'll have a way of, from a component, that component then becomes the provider who then sends it to a consumer in its tree. So that parent component, or that component, can then send it to its children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, anything that's under it. Can't send it anything that's like parallel or above it. Okay, so first we have to create our context object. So we'll do it over, we'll just do it right over here. Okay, and the way you do this is we're going to say const, we'll call it my context. You can call it whatever you want. And it's going to equal a react.create context call. And that creates the context object. Okay, so and then so if I do that, and then this should be React. Okay, casing matters. We don't want bugs later. We've seen enough bugs. Okay, so React.that. Okay, and then I have to go down here, and we're gonna go send that information down. But let me just save this. So far. So then what's going to happen is that we have to go down here, and we have to wrap the component in a provider tag. So the way that would go is we're going to say my context. I like lining these up. So my context dot provider. Okay, so it's referring to that my context object that we created above. We create a tag. Okay, now I got my closing tag, so let me go put my closing tag where it needs to be. So let me cut that out and put this at the bottom. Cool. Now the thing is, I gotta tell what information am I sending down. Okay. So what I gotta do is say value. Where's the value? And you only basically can have one value in your provider. So it's sending down one thing. You could send down an object. If you want to send down a lot of variables, you can send down an array. If you want to send down a lot of variables, but we're going to just keep it simple here. We're going to send down a string. So the value is going to be I'm Alex 2. I am Alex 2. Okay. So there we go. So saying, hey, this value of I am Alex 2 can be provided by this my context provider to any of the children elements. And it doesn't matter how far down it goes. Okay. Save. Now, I'm not going to provide it to the contact page because I've already kind of did something else with that, which we're going to come back to. What I am going to do is we're going to send it down to the main page. Okay, and just to kind of understand why this is going to be cool is that here we are in the app. Oh no, I did this in the contact page. Brr. Okay, so let me copy this back over to app. App.js. Let's open that up. And let's copy that code over real quick. So we need to copy over our definition of context because we're sending it from app. You can tell I just woke up. Oh, okay. So my previous context is still there. So let me just delete all this then. I was wondering, I thought I had a context here. Where did it go? Okay, but that would be the basic setup anyways. So it's not bad that we walked through that. But let's go take a look at it over here. So you see here I defined my context. We called it app context from before. But I did actually delete the wrapper, so let me recreate the wrapper. Okay. So it would be app context dot provider. And then the value again would be I am Alex 2. And then we'll cut that out. Put that down here. Cool. And then again, we're going to send that down to main page. So the thing is that when we can't do this, we're not calling main page anywhere in here. So how am I sending it to main page? But really, it's inside am body. We go to am body. It's an am body that we actually invoke the main page. So technically, main page is the grandparent or grandchild. So for me to pass that information, in the old days, I'd have to pass it down as props to am body and then pass it down as props to main page. And then, you know, so on and so forth. I mean, referred to as prop drilling. But I can skip this step, so I don't have to do anything on am body. I can just skip all the way down the main page. Okay, and then I can just go here. Oh, Control Z. Right here in the return. And then all I have to do is wrap this in the consumer that consumes. So in this case, it would be app context dot consumer. And then I gotta wrap that in there. Then I gotta create this function. Okay, which is basically gonna look like this. Okay, so basically the first bracket just kind of encapsulates or closes in our pseudo function-y type thing. This parentheses is kind of like the parameter we're passing a variable into the function. And then the inner bracket is, hey, we have to interpolate. We have to kind of tell it, hey, we're getting out of JSX world back in the JavaScript world. So I'm going to be passing in a variable, which is the two variables, or the variable from our app context, which is just value, I guess. Actually, I'm going to reformat this just a little bit. Okay, what I'm going to do is just make a variable called Alex2, and that's going to equal the string. And then that we're going to pass down as the value in our provider. Which actually really just be this dot Alex2 because this is a class function. Cool. So that should be good there. Then we're passing that down to the main page. and that's what we want to use, Alex2. And then I go to old buddy arrow function, and then we have to wrap some parentheses for our JSX. And then I have to copy my existing JSX into there. Okay. I think I took a part of the consumer by accident. So let's fix this up. This should be parentheses, bracket, and then this should be app context.consumer. There we go. Now I actually haven't used it yet. I need to actually use it. So let's take a look here. We'll just say welcome to this main page. And then right after that we'll just stick our thing. So in this case we just put in Alex2. Because it's not this, because it doesn't belong to this component. It's something that's being passed down from this app context at consumer. So it's just available. So there's no need for the keyword this. Okay, so Alex2, save. Now let's spin up our server. Okay, so let's go to here, grab the full path. Let's change directories into that path. And then the next step is we're going to do npm run start. So run the start strip, which should run the server. Because again, this is a create React app version, so it has all these scripts built in that we can just run instead of having to run light server like I did with when we were using the CDN. So that's going to run the server. And that'll start eventually. Okay, but I guess while that does that, let me explain the second thing, which is child.props. And basically the idea here is that you're able to, oh wait, I think it's, oh no, I just can't switch things. App.js. What happens is that what we're doing, if in the video, again, I guess you didn't see it because the audio was messed up. What happened was, the issue was being able to, another way you could achieve the same thing of passing down information to like a grandchild is instead of props, or context, you could just pass down the child, or you can basically give the grandchild to the child. You say, hey, you know what? Let me create the component up here, but let me pass it down the component as a prop to my child component, who will then use it as a grandchild, in a sense. And that is kind of going on here while that loads. So basically we did that with contact page. So let's take a look. Here, should be here in contact page. So notice like here, see how I wrapped a AM body and then I put contact page in the middle? Well, whenever you wrap a component and put a component wrapped in another component, it then basically it's the equivalent of passing down that component as a child or as a prop to that component. So if I go back to AM body here, oh, there's some stuff I gotta fix. Okay, we'll come back to that. So then what happens is that when I usually would call like main page, blog page, instead of calling contact page, we just called this.props.children. Because technically now it's part of the props object because we passed it in. So now you'll see it there, but let's go fix these errors. Expected in assignment or function call instead of a saw an expression. Where was this? In main page, line 5, 6. So we got to fix our context here. Line 5, 6. Okay, oh, okay, I think he wants me to do something like this. Return, let's just wrap this whole thing in a parentheses, because it's JSX, and that's what it wants. So we'll do something like that. Let's see if that fixes the problem. Nope. Let's take a look at this carefully. Oh, let me get rid of these for the moment. Return const the main page. That's a function. Yes. Return context. That closes this. And then we did this thing. Okay, so we got it working. So let me just show you some of the refactoring we did. Okay, so let's go back to app.js for a moment. What I had to do to get this all working, I had to actually export the context, so that way I can bring it in somewhere else where I refer to it. So that was one thing. So make sure you add your keyword export. And then what I did is I just switched it up and just made it that the value of the app context provider is this state. So that way I can just put any variables I need in the state and just keep it simple. Okay, so I'm providing that to there, just like before. And then in main page, I have to import app and app context, because app is where we define the value for the context. And then in app context, I have to actually import the variable of app context. So I got to bring those in. And otherwise, it works the same. So basically, we wrap it in the consumer. I'm bringing in the name variable from the context. So the context is the full state of app, but I only really wanted the name variable from the state. This variable over here, I could bring in the link array as well if I wanted to, but I don't. So I didn't call it. So name, and then it gets passed through to here, and then I used it right here. And then when we go back to the page, there it is. Welcome to the main page, Alex. Now you'll see Alex here again, still coming from that same state object, okay, but except I passed it in differently. What I did here is we go back to app. Again, we passed in contact page as a child, and then we used Props.Child to plop it inside ambody. So we go to ambody.js, and again, just to show how that worked, this.props.children. So anytime you see that this.props.children, it's referring to any tag that this is wrapped in. Okay, and again, to show you, ambody is wrapping the contact page, so this becomes a children pops. Another way I could have done this, okay, is I could do this. We'll reformat it. I could actually just pass this child as the prop from the get-go. So instead of wrapping it and passing it as a children, I could just do this and just make a property called contact page equals, there you go. Okay, so I'm still passing down the element as a prop, but I'm just going to use it a little bit differently. Now let me just fix ambody, and then instead of saying this.props.children, this will just say this.props.contact page. And it should still give me the same thing. Okay, so it's re-rendering contact page. Yep, still same thing. Okay, so there's just different ways of passing information down from one component to the other. So again, the three ways we can do it is we can do a context object. We can pass down a JSX as a children by wrapping the tag, or pass down the JSX as a prop, straight as just a prop assignment. Okay, now hooks I'll do a separate video for, because this video kind of ran a little long. So I'll see you guys in the next video where we'll talk about hooks.